I was in a lucky position where I could have went to both. And it wasn't even about, I didn't even ask about money at that point. There was an opportunity there. It didn't work out for one reason or another. Everything's happened for a reason. But then Rangers come back in the May.
When did you come?
That summer.
That summer.
Yeah.
I must have been the second option.
I would have been perfect for you, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would have loved to have played with you. No doubt.
Scott, thanks for coming to talk to us. I don't know about your sort of early years. So you're an Aussie, of course.
Yep.
Brought up in Australia. Because you first came over when you were 16. But was it always football for you in Australia? Because you play a lot of other sports. Some weird.
We do, yeah.
Some not so weird. But
Bit like you, I love my cricket.
yeah.
Loved my cricket growing up. There was probably a period when I was about 12 or 13, just by pure expense, the sport as well, cricket, that I had to make a choice whether it was going to be football or cricket itself. And I think I chose the right path. Don't know though. Maybe not. Maybe I would have been. First drop I was.
Right.
Yeah. So I loved batting, did a bit of bowling. But now football.
They're not interested in that.
This
in
is like
Scotland,
foreign
are they?
language,
So they're
isn't
thinking,
it?
is that rounders you're
I know
talking about?
but
So
foreign
yeah.
language.
To be fair, when we started talking about the Ashes, he looked
Yeah.
lost, didn't he? Off it.
And then, you ended up coming across actually to Southampton at a really young age. So how did that happen? You scouted? You must have been scouted.
Yeah, so it was actually World Youth Cup.
Right.
So we had, still to this day, most successful tournament from an Australian youth perspective. We made the final of the World Youth Cup, but all the way back in '99. So there was loads of scouts, a lot of our boys.
team?
In my team, that's Josh Kennedy, who went on to play in Germany for a good period, then Japan. Obviously went to 2 or 3 World Cups as well. Off the back of my Adrian Madashi, if you remember him, he was at Partick Thistle up here for a period. Left-footed centre back. Did you put me on the spot there? Who else? Who else really actually went on to kick on? There was quite a few that obviously kicked on.
Just you.
Yeah, basically.
You can say just me. I
No,
mean,
Josh,
that's
I
fine.
think, like I mentioned, Josh was probably the other most successful one in terms of where he played in World Cups and whatnot. But yeah, like I had the opportunity to go to Bayer Leverkusen as well. There was a couple of boys that went to Germany, but the language barrier was an issue, and there was a few of them coming home, so I didn't really want to take that pathway. I had trials at West Ham and Arsenal before I ended up signing at Southampton. Got there, and the likes of Liam Brady was head of youth at Arsenal, and saying you're as good as what we've got, but obviously to sign, you had to sign on pro terms, so they're not going to sign you on a YT at that time. So you had to be better than what was there. So thankfully, Southampton thought that and got
Is
the,
that your
got the
is that the process as a kid coming through to get to full-time football, as get scouted and go over to Europe?
Yeah, well, Harry Kewell was the best example of that.
Yeah.
You know, because Harry left really, really early, and then obviously came through with George Graham at Leeds as a left back at the time. But he was kind of one that I always looked at and sort of aspired to, you know, to get over early, learn your trade. There wasn't really a full-time professional league in Australia at that time. It was called the NSL at the time. Great players when you look back, but it wasn't a full-time sort of, you know, competition. So we had to go and in those days you didn't have the regulations of, you know, you couldn't leave till you're 18, which they do now, which is a big problem in terms of the development for Australian football now. Even though we do have a professional league, but yeah, it was just an opportunity that I wanted. I could have went to the Australian Institute of Sport, which was where quite a lot of top players played before they ended up going overseas. You know, like Mark Paducah, Craig Moore, Kevin Muscat, to name a few. That golden generation in 2006, they all sort of came through there, and then went overseas. But yeah, for me, I had a British passport, so the opportunity was there.
It's quite courageous, you think, at that age to come over. And then, so you talk about, so you got the knockback from West Ham, you got the knockback from Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean, did you sort of, you know, at that particular time, were you thinking this isn't really going to happen? I mean, what, or did you always have that sort of mindset?
Yeah, again, someone always asked me as well, like, when did I start to take it serious? And you can't put your foot, finger on it. Like, particularly being from Australia, you don't necessarily think it's going to be something that you're going to end up being. You know, as much as you probably think, oh, I'm good at it. But you know what us Aussies are like, Sonny? We believe in ourselves just a little bit, you know? So I don't think the knockback, you know, really done me any harm. It was kind of like, well, they were wrong. Yeah. And do you know what? That was probably my biggest strength within my career. Obviously, as we all know, we get better over time. we become better footballers. But I think my biggest strength was my belief in myself, and that's how I sort of managed to have a half decent career.
How did you use that then, going into Southampton as a kid?
The first story. So there was another boy called Brian Howard who actually had a decent career down in England as well. He was at Barnsley, Sheffield United, and he was the same year as me. And one of my first sessions, he was like, "You need to be careful." I was like, "Why?" He said, "Because the coach has come in and just said, right, we've got this little Aussie who thinks he's a bit of this, a bit of that. Go and smash him." So it was like from day one, it was on. But I just took it. I was like, "Come on, then." You know, I was up for the challenge, and I earned the respect of the players. You know, in that sense as well. I could be a little so-and-so, obviously, as we all know, and other people say, but that was my mentality and that was my strength, I think.
And at Southampton, it was your first meet with Gordon Strachan, someone who managed you 3 times throughout your career. So what was Gordon like then? And so did he change?
He changed. I think Boydy will know more than you two guys as well. Oh no, in fact, you'll know. Actually, you will know.
We were together.
First impressions last.
Yeah, but maybe
they do, don't they?
We mellow with age.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that it was very difficult. I had made my debut under Stuart Gray, who was the manager at Southampton at that time. Glenn Hoddle had left, went to Tottenham, and then he took over. So I was in and around the first team, and then as soon as Gordon come in, it was like, "You're not involved." Just totally pushed aside. We just didn't really hit it off at that point, personality-wise. You need to ask him why. He said to me at the time, though, like, I needed to mature and had a lot of growing up to do. And because I'd been in men's football, he said, "You need to go out and be a man. You need to go out and play." So I ended up going on loan to Huddersfield, who the manager there was a guy called Mick Wadsworth. I think he ended up being up here with Gretna for a period. He was assistant there. I had 3 months there, and that was hard yakka as well, because as soon as I got to Huddersfield, they went into administration. So, and I was promised I was going to play with Big Andy Booth. As you know. 4-4-2, slump it, stick it on the big fella, flick-ons. But then we ended up playing 4-3-3, and I ended up playing wide left, which I'd never done at that period. You know, so it was tough learnings and that. But yeah, once Gordon had made his decision, that was it. There was no way back. As much as
did you know that at the time?
Yeah, I kind of did. I just didn't like him. He didn't like me either. It was kind of like, it was kind of like that sort of mentality of, right, he just didn't like me. I remember after one session, he said to me, I was coming in the first team, and I performed pretty well. He went, "If you could perform like that every week, you wouldn't have a problem." I said, "If you allowed me to perform like that every week, I wouldn't have a problem."
I bet you like that.
I don't think that went down too well, right? So, so I had to find another pathway.
There were some good strikers at Southampton at the time, though.
Oh, it was amazing. Like, I had the privilege and honour to play with, their best ever, Matt Letizia, who you would have...
played against Matt many times.
Yeah. Did you play England with him at all?
Just briefly.
Yeah.
I had one cap.
He was the same. That wasn't a sly on you, by the way.
No, that's all right. If I was Australian.
Don't backtrack now.
If I was Australian, just
bit of sledging.
He was a brilliant player.
Yeah, he was.
And it's in your position, was it James Beattie? Kevin Pahals? Kevin Davies came to Blackburn, right?
He came back though as well.
Right, yeah.
So he came back. He was brilliant. So yeah, we had them. Brett Omerod then come as well. Yeah, Brett Omerod was there as well. So yeah, there was a guy, Colombian Delgado, who was in and out as well. Gordon didn't really favour him when he come in, but yeah, there was some really, really top strikers there at the time. And Beats was obviously the man at the time. He was on fire. Just got his England debut through that period as well. But it was a great learning for me. The first team boys were different gravy, and learnt a lot. Even the likes of a guy called Jason Dodds, who was captain.
Played right back, wasn't he? Yeah.
Tremendous player. It's not and you'll all agree, it's certain players have certain stigmas from the outside, but it's when you play and train with these guys, you realise how really good they are and how professional they are.
But see, when you're in that with that self-confidence, did you think, I'm good enough to be here with their kind of guys? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'd made my debut at 18, so I was doing everything I possibly could. Obviously, I had my first 6 months at Southampton, and I was on my own, wasn't I? So I didn't have any guidance, parents, whatnot. So
tricky cooking.
Yeah, all that sort of. No, it was actually all right because we were all in one place.
Nights
Called-
out and that. I was
Yeah,
more
that's what I
thinking.
mean. Yeah, it was more like it was more that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
more going out, and yeah, the culture was a bit different back then. But finally got my head switched on, and then pushed and pushed, and got my debut, and thought from there, no looking back. But it was huge, sort of knockback at that time because you're 18, thinking, right, I've made it here. Not that big headed, but it's like I'm on the road, and then all of a sudden the road gets stopped, and I'm back playing under 18s football again. You know, so the trajectory was so quick. But
How
as we all
difficult
know,
was that to deal with?
I think as we all know, we've had periods, haven't we, in our own careers, and it goes sort of under the radar a lot. The things that we go through in terms of mentally. Back then, it was you didn't have a choice though, did you? You had to just fire on through it.
Yeah.
But it was difficult. It was difficult, you know, being away from family and friends and not having that sort of mental support. But again, it was my mentality was everyone else had the problem, not me.
So, Southampton, how did it all come to an end?
Well, in the end, Gordon was, like I said, he just said that I needed to become a man and I needed men's football. So my contract ended up running out. I went to Bournemouth back then you could sign still in April or March. There was no sort of transfer windows. So I ended up signing for Sean O'Driscoll down there. Peter Grant was assistant coach as well. And had a great time there for the last 3-4 months. We got promoted from League 2 to League 1. We won in the playoff final down at the Millennium. So that was a great experience. I didn't get on in the kind of say grand final, like an Aussie there. Right. Amazing experience. And then agreed a deal with them. And then the ITV deal at the time, remember when they were doing, they had all the sort of the rights to the Football League, crashed. So went from agreeing a deal then to absolute radio silence from O'Driscoll and Bournemouth. Didn't get a deal. So then I had to go on my travels to trial here, there and everywhere. I actually think I went with Ian McCall trial at Dundee United. But they asked me to come back after they were going to Austria on their pre-season tour. And I was just like, well, you're not interested then if you're not taking me. So I ended up going back down the road and then went to Wimbledon. Wimbledon were in transition of going to MK Dons. And they were in administration. So I was on a month-to-month deal with them. So I was just going from one thing to another, to another, to another.
Did you ever contemplate just going back home?
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, so it wasn't to the point. It was to the point where Dave McPherson, ex-Rangers, Hearts, became an agent, and he had contacts with an Aussie agent, Lou Sticker, who was my agent for a long period, and they were trying to convince me to come and have a trial at Motherwell, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. I was literally like,
why?
I've had enough. At that point, I was broken, man. I'd had that many things up and down, and it was like.
And he visited Motherwell.
Yeah.
But what makes you go to Motherwell?
Well, it was Dave actually, and put it in layman's terms, was like, it's only an extra week and you can go home anyway. And so when he put it in like that, I was like, well, okay, what have I got to lose? I ended up going up there, and within 3 days I'd signed. So I must have done something right. Yeah, well, Butcher was amazing, right, for that reason, who I know obviously you had on the show recently. He was amazing for me at that time because I needed someone to actually believe in me and give me the opportunity. And he did that. He was a great man manager in that sense as well. And yeah, I performed in the first couple of days against the first 11, and then they signed me. And I never looked back from there. I scored on my debut in the Scottish Cup. And yeah, it was a great period for me at Motherwell.
So is the reason you think your career really blossomed because of Terry Butcher? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot to thank Terry for. I think we all need that one person, you know, in our footballing careers and pathways to actually truly believe in us and give us that opportunity. And Terry was that one guy who gave me that opportunity to just go and be myself. And he actually believed in me as well. Yeah, he chased me up a hill at DL Park a few times during that period as well, even with bad knees. But yeah, we got on fantastic, and he was great. And it was a great period for us as well because Motherwell, again, they'd only just gone out of, I think, administration at that point. And then we started to make top six and do a lot better. And they had to sell McPherson at the time. So there was players going out, but there was still good players there. And it was a really good period. Who
impressed you the most when you arrived?
Well, look, I think Phil O'Donnell. Phil was a great leader as well, but top professional. We had Gordon Marshall as well, Big Marsh was there. Great guy. But these were guys that I went and sort of watched when I was a kid. And you're playing with Scott Leach, was a great leader as well. Hard man, you know, didn't take any nonsense. And, you know, having people like him and even Derek Adams was there as well. So we had some really good pros at the time that played down in England.
Yeah.
It was different back then. You know, I think there was, it's not to say one era is better than the other, but there was more players that had, at that period, played at real high levels down in England. You know, even if it wasn't for a Celtic or Rangers coming back to, you know, another, you know, SPL club at the time, but they were top pros.
What was
Good
your
players.
general thoughts in Scottish football when you were first at Motherwell?
That was massive. You know, well, it was at that period.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like Celtic and Rangers were punching with the Premier League. You know, in terms of you know the status and the money that they were throwing around.
Yeah.
You know?
We've heard about that. We've heard about that money.
Yes, yeah.
You know, they were competing on Premiership levels
Yeah.
at that point. So it was amazing to be a part of that. I think all I ever wanted to do, I said this recently as well, was to play Saturday at 3 o'clock. Traditionally, always, football was played Saturday at 3 p.m. If you're playing at 3 p.m., you're a professional footballer. So to get that opportunity was, yeah, it was a dream come true. And it just gave you the platform then to kick on from there.
You obviously started finding the net on a regular basis your second season.
Yeah.
How enjoyable was that?
It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, I just grew in confidence. I'd never had, I was a goal scorer, but I don't think I was as prolific as, you know, someone like yourself in that sense. I was never an out-and-out number nine.
You used to play for the team as well. That was your point.
Yeah, not just on the last line.
We all
we've all felt that. Yeah, I've felt that with Boydy as well.
But yeah, it was.
When you was getting win bonuses away.
So who? I mean, so you did you always prefer playing in a pair up top then? Did you?
Yeah. I would have been perfect for you, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would have loved to have played with you, no doubt. I'll give you a big head, but the way that you played was ideal. You just had Henrik Larsson, so I wasn't competing with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played with Jim Hamilton at Motherwell. We had a great partnership, really, really good partnership. Richie Foran was there as well. You know, a bit more of a target man. Scored a lot of goals for Motherwell. Did excellent for us at the time as well. But yeah, in that period, as you know, it was 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And it was always a pairing. So the big man, small man, and even at Celtic when I first went there was with Big Jan Benegor as well. So again, I had to adapt and evolve. You would have been similar in that sense as well, because you're not as big as some of the others. You're not going to play right down the middle. So your game had to evolve as we went along.
Do you think you've done that evolving most at Motherwell, if you look back at your whole career?
No, I evolved more when I went down to the Championship. You know, once I left Scottish football, that was when I started to evolve. What I did, like when we move on to Celtic, was I just simplified my game. I understood there was better players there.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do as much.
You
totally understand, because you've been there yourselves, right? That when you go to a Celtic or Rangers, don't complicate it. Just simplify it and give it to better players and make sure you get into the right areas and then grow. Each year you grew, you got better. Technically and tactically and whatnot.
We can't move straight on to Celtic without dealing with the elephant in the room. How wildly did you celebrate your goals, which stopped Celtic winning?
Well, at the time, yeah. Well, as you know,
would you really?
There's not many people done what you've done though. Won the league for Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah. Boydy, we had a sweepstake on it. I've definitely lost the sweepstake. How long it's taken you to actually get that one out. You know that? Look, I think the euphoric of actually... See, the thing is for us, or for me, growing up, I was a Celtic fan, through and through. So, but growing up, it was the opportunity to play against big players, top teams, and elevate yourself to the next level. That was the goal.
Yeah.
That was the dream. So when you score a goal of that magnitude as well, and it wasn't about what the goal meant to the other team. If you look at the actual goal itself and what it was, it's an excellent goal in its own merit, right? So from that, you celebrate. You don't really understand. Now, if the camera's still on me at that moment, I actually stop afterwards when everyone's celebrating with me, and then that's when you go, oh, like, what have I just done? You know, my life's in threat here. That was the first thing that I
Had you
thought.
already spoken to Celtic about joining next season? The previous
No.
season?
That materialised longer, like lots after that. Rangers were first before that, and then the game goes on, just gets stretched, and then you score another one, and then you go, I've just scored 2 against the best team in Scotland. It's amazing. So that was my thought at the time. But then as soon as you go from that euphoria and then into the realization of what's just happened, and then it's like panic sets in at that period. And then people are bringing in from the other room, as you know, stories. And I'm just sitting there with a towel over my head, like just devastation. Because I actually think I'm in trouble physically here. Someone's going to get me after that game as well. As much as I'm...
One of the opposition players? No,
but just in general, and how am I going to live here? All those things crossing my mind at that one time, so, and it was Phil O'Donnell who came across to me and sort of settled me and was like, you don't play for them, no matter if we supported them or not, you did your job, right? And it's coming from a guy that played for Celtic. So for me, it was kind of like, I did my job. And that's all that mattered.
I think
Chris did his job. Chris did his job on the day. He scored. Yeah. There was a few misses in that game, weren't there?
What did I miss?
No. You were okay.
But I'm not going to blame the
okay.
Welsh manager.
You blame me if you want, though. That's all right, though, isn't it? Hey? Everyone forgets all that.
That's true.
Everyone forgets all that.
Was that in your
Someone
mind?
went for a Rangers medical and failed that, but ended up being a Celtic legend too.
Big John?
Big John, yeah. So but that must have still been in your mind then when Celtic came calling. And you're a pretty confident character. Does that not just
bring it on?
Yeah, exactly.
Water off
ducks back.
But I had a choice though. I could have went to Rangers.
So at the end of that season, though, what are the options for you?
Nothing after that. Nothing. I was looking for England. I was trying to get down south. I was like, just get out of here. But no, the first game of the next season was against Celtic again in that 4-4 game. Were you playing in that one?
I don't think I did. 4-4.
It was Gordon. No, it was Gordon's first. Hartson scored a hat trick in it. It was Gordon's first game in Celtic and after Bratislava. After that game,
I fractured my chin.
Yeah. So I was just focusing on trying to perform, but I elevated myself now where people were looking at me.
Yeah.
Whereas before that, I was a good player in the league, but not really looked upon like that. So it's elevated me somewhat. It's where you want to be. You want to score goals against the best players, best opposition. You know those games against Celtic and Rangers are televised ones. Yeah. For every single player to play in those games, you do raise your game. You're up against it. You know that, right? We all know that. We've been there.
Plus, if you're growing up a Celtic fan, then you know if you're doing your job, they're going to be looking. You might have an opportunity to go there.
Potentially, yeah. Again, though, that for me was gone. After that game, I'm not looking.
Seriously, you're not thinking it could happen though?
Never. No chance. Why would it?
We wouldn't have wanted him after that.
No, definitely not. You know what I mean? But it's just there's only one place potential opportunity might arise after that, and it did. And at that time as well, when Walt was in charge, Motherwell turned down the offer. It was in the January period of, I think that was in 2007. Obviously, when I go in the May to sign for Celtic. I got a phone call. So after the deal went dead in January with Rangers.
So that was purely about
elevating myself. Yeah.
No, but Rangers, not the Rangers move not happening.
They didn't spend the money.
Right, and that was it. Yeah. But you're ready to go.
Well, yeah, I'm ready to go because
you want an opportunity.
I'm just wanting an opportunity. Yeah. I want to elevate myself. I want to play for Australia. I want to go to a World Cup. I want to play in European football. I want a chance to win trophies. That was massive on my sort of radar. I wanted something of legacy to play the game. I think we all, I mean, that's what drives us, right? Particularly as goal scorers, as we all are here. You want that. So there was an opportunity there. It didn't work out for one reason or another. Everything's meant to happen for a reason. But then Rangers come back in the May.
When did you come?
That summer.
Yeah.
That must have been the second option.
I don't know. Well, it was kind of like in the March was when Celtic sort of nicked in. And I got a phone call from John Park at the time. Probably wasn't allowed, but it happened. And then it was like, Gordon's going to give you a call. I waited for
What
about...
were you thinking at that point when you know you didn't get
Well,
on with him at
well, the thing
Southampton?
was as well, his first game in charge, like, I've ran over to him and gave him one when I've scored an equaliser in the game. I've gone, get it up, you, right? Because remember me, right? So, like, there was always that sort of, like, yeah, little man syndrome between the two of us, I think, at that time. But there was my relationship, like, with Gordon, is nothing but admiration. He's been a huge father figure to me after that, which we'll get onto. But there was an option, and then I'm in China with the national team. I'm finally getting the opportunity to play for Australia at this point as well. And the phone goes at like 3 a.m. and it's Gordon, and it's the most like short conversation, and there's nothing about Southampton within it. It's kind of like, do you want to play for me or not? And I was like, absolutely. Good, because I think you've matured now and you're ready. And that was it. And it was like, we'll get it sorted, but we're not messing around. If Rangers are interested, you need to make the choice now. I was like,
So
choice is made.
I mean, he was hardly sort of... We
Throwing you
really
in.
want you. It's quite a strange
But it wasn't about him.
conversation.
I'm
I
living a
know,
dream. I'm playing
but-
for Celtic.
but
That's who I wanted to play for.
But I can't ever remember, I don't know whether Stephen and Chris are the same, signing for a club where the sort of manager was like, well, take it or leave it.
Yeah, I know. But it's
Yeah,
a
but I
crazy
think that's why
situation.
Rangers and Celtic in years gone by.
I've been stung.
No.
And-
I think that's what they've been able to play in people's heartstrings.
Aye,
Like,
definitely.
you want to come. If you don't,
Yeah.
then we'll move
Yeah,
on.
but
And you're
also-
always going to take
But
it.
I had the choice.
Yeah.
I still had the choice. I was in a lucky position where
Yeah.
I could have went to both. And it wasn't even about, I didn't even ask about money at that point.
Yeah.
In the end, yeah, I think I actually won because Celtic were going to offer me more. But I'd already made my decision before I'd even got to that point. And yeah, I knew no matter what, though, if I was going probably to Celtic, it was going to be harder as well. They come off the back of winning 2 titles in a row at that period, and still had Kenny Miller there. Magic Zorowski was firing in goals. Big Jan had just signed as well. There was one other. Who was the other one that was there? One more. And then they just signed Derek Reardon also.
Like John Hartson still there.
Nah, John had
Yeah,
gone.
gone.
John had gone by that point. So had Sean. But I was just get me there and I'll prove myself. I'll
Quite
get
a
through
sort
the
of
door.
ballsy mindset, that, isn't it? Because you know,
Yeah.
the strikers you've mentioned, and yet you know you.
But you've not even mentioned the
you have that
elephant in the
confidence.
room, right? Is that no one liked me. Fans didn't want me there. But I didn't care about that because it was like, I'm getting the opportunity to play for Celtic. So there's when the fan mentality comes on. 'Cause now I'm living my dream.
But then
Yeah.
when you do sign, surely that all dissipates. That when you've signed, you didn't surely feel as if I'm not wanted here.
Was it a
Yeah,
bit of
no, I did.
paranoia
I had,
did you?
yeah.
Is it paranoia?
It was
fair?
it was a bit of everything. It drove me, but it was
But you did feel that when
awkward
you were in the
feeling.
building.
I was like Charlie in Chocolate Factory walking through. Like
Yeah.
I just like, this is amazing. I get to play with top players, look at the facilities, everything like that. No disrespect to Motherwell getting in a minibus to go to training every day.
Yeah.
Right now, and obviously we were moving from Barrowfield at the
Yeah.
time to Lennoxtown, so this is amazing, And then 60,000, and it's what you dreamed of. You know it. You know
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You
definitely.
know what I mean? It's like you grew up.
And he
supporting
played in
that
front of
club.
45 Ibrox, so it's not quite
Correct.
60.
But yeah, and I was still getting stick from some staff. I went to collect my season tickets, and the woman had a crack at me. I can't remember. It was like the head of the season ticket department had to pull me in and apologize to me on her behalf, and I was like, "It's fine. It's just part of where I'm at right now.
See the time,
I had to deal with it."
You've spoken about Australian, as you say, Craig Muir, you obviously played international football and you had a relationship with. Did they try and talk you into going to Rangers as well?
No.
No?
Do you know who I spoke? I spoke to Mark Viduka.
Yeah.
Because Dukes was on the trip with me at the time.
Yeah.
And he only spent 1 year. But yeah, he was like, it's amazing, go. I didn't really need anyone, but Chris, I didn't really need anyone to.
Celtic, I wish he'd have stayed see if the Duke had stayed, we would
Yeah.
have knew him.
Dukes was,
He was a great player.
yeah, fantastic.
See,
player.
you go into Celtic, right? And I felt I'm more from mine. Do you really understand expectation, size, pressure? Did you expect what actually came?
I loved it.
Yeah, but did you think it was going to be as intense?
Yeah, I
as
think
the-
so. I think I was ready for that. I think you understand that every week, like that period as well, it was you win, they win.
Yeah.
You
Who
win, they
plays
win.
first puts pressure
Ooh,
on the
12
others.
o'clock
Yeah.
Saturday, look at, don't look, but look.
Mhm.
Shit, they won again. Right, we've got to win again. Or you'd win and wait till Sunday.
Mhm.
Like, that was amazing. Like, they're just
Mm-hmm.
back and forth all the time. Like, I loved it. It was like a drug.
Yeah, I liked it too.
You know, it was like, it's like you've been weaned off it, like an addict. Like when you've left it, it's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard to when you've loved that period and had success to go from that, and then where we went.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Middlesbrough, but it was just a different way.
When did you? When was the period at Celtic then when you felt you were loved? Where you felt comfortable? Where you?
I don't ever. Yeah, I guess after year one, because I finished top scorer in the league, and we won the league. So I think, right, that's me on level terms now.
Mm.
We're level pegging here,
Yeah.
right? So that was me, sort of, right. I should be accepted now. Let's crack on. But to that point, everything was a fight to get to that point.
Do you think
in
that
my head,
fight helped you though?
Potentially, yeah. I don't know. Like,
Because you see a lot of people going, it's in the
Surely,
comfort zone,
surely,
and that,
aye.
but because you know, I need to prove to everyone
Yeah.
here.
Aye.
I think as well, like, Tommy Burns was amazing as well. I talked about Phil, right? But Tommy, when I first come in, pre-season in Switzerland, was the one who approached it and sort of was like, don't worry about what anyone's going to say this year. You're a Celtic player. You should be here. So on and so forth within the private conversation. And it was an amazing moment for me, that, because if he says it, that's Mr. Celtic. We're good here. Let's crack on. So that gave me a lot of confidence as well to move on. And I had a great pre-season. I knew I had to. The blessing in disguise was Kenny was sort of 50-50 whether he wanted to stay or not. Kenny Miller. Right? And there was talk of him going to Italy, this, that. He didn't want to be Champions League tied. So that was when I got my opportunity to play. It was in the Champions League tie, which was Spartak Moscow. And from there, I cracked on. But then Kenny leaving opened the door a wee bit more for me as well.
And then you nicked a goal, didn't you, Spartak?
Yeah. So that was my first ever goal.
Yeah.
So I'd missed a great chance against Aberdeen on the weekend before that. Kenny comes on and scores a double, wins us the game, and I'm thinking,
Yeah, so you're all in there celebrating.
Yeah,
thinking,
no, yeah, Chris. Yeah, I'm happy, but I'm like, I'm in trouble here. I could be sitting on my ass for a while. But then sort of Kenny didn't play. I played against Spartak. And then that's when Kenny ended up going to Derby as well. And then I never looked back.
Did you think that goal was, how big was that for you?
Massive, because we qualified for the Champions League that night too.
Yeah.
So I've scored, right, and we've qualified. So I'm like, right, I've done my job here. This is why I'm here. No one expected me to play either. Like, you would have felt that potentially when you went as well, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the strikers and everyone that's there.
Did you expect to play though? So everyone else, And did competition?
I never.
You don't seem to type. Did competition phase you? Because
No. It was there to be broken. Like, and I wasn't horrible or disrespectful about it. But if I looked at you, I'd want to say I'm better than you. That's just the way I took it. And it wouldn't mean to say I didn't like the individuals, but it was just like, if it's going to be me or you, it has to be me. That was the way I always thought.
Was there that wee bit of rivalry when you two are going for top goal scorer in the league in these seasons?
I never really looked at it because Boydy was on different level at that point, but I was getting there. Second year though, you beat me. I think I scored 20 that year. He was well ahead of that.
But is that something you as goal scorers would have looked at?
But he was doing that at Killy. So I was sort of mid-teens for goals.
Yeah.
You know, like
you take his penalties off him, you probably would have.
Yeah, I think
had him.
I got him a few of them as well. Killy and Rangers.
Like, I think we were more similar.
Yeah.
I think we were, and I think the way that we played and the amount of goals that we scored naturally year in, year out was similar.
Yeah.
In that sense, I was not like that a lot, but I turned into that because, like I said, the way I worked it out was like simplify in the box. I wasn't going to try and get it in wide left areas or drop deeper into areas. It was
You
like
don't
last
need to
line.
when you're playing with, with the type of players you end up playing with.
No.
Your role was to score goals.
Correct. Well, you're judged upon that.
Yeah.
And I knew that as well.
Yeah.
So if you're not scoring goals at Celtic, rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, that was just, no one's caring about the rest of what you're doing.
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie, in their opinion. So you had to score goals.
See, I mean, you obviously had some memorable, games in a Celtic jersey, but those Champions League nights must have stood out.
Yeah, they were amazing. Like, we were so lucky. I was so lucky in that period. The amount of top teams we played in that period. Man United, who went on to be Champions League winners. You know, Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, Giggs, Scholes, Vidic, Ferdinand.
Catch them, Naisy.
Yeah.
Catch them.
But then you got Barcelona, similar. Torres.
He's not naming them now.
Yeah. What's that?
The names keep them coming.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Why?
The names
Well,
coming.
you played against them as well, didn't
Yeah. Well,
Barcelona.
Naisy did. I watched them.
And then and then AC Milan.
Yeah.
That night, like, for me, that was when, I think for a lot of Celtic fans, that's when maybe changed. When I scored the winner. in
For
that
you?
one. Well, for them, with me.
Honestly, that long?
It still goes on now. Like, it's the first thing that comes out of like people's mouths. It's kind of an interesting one. It's okay for me. I'm all right about
never
it.
scored those goals.
No,
You do.
No, but if it's still, yeah, I do. Yeah,
it's not like that. It's a hard one because.
But if it's still going on now, I mean,
it's hard
not that-
to.
But then the move maybe doesn't happen on the back of that. And
Dunfermline's still
not
laid
maybe.
down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think it does.
Yeah, Dunfermline's still laid
Still
down
laid
as
down.
well.
Dunfermline.
I was there that day, not next.
Yeah.
It's a hard one for me because I am a Celtic fan, so it's hard when someone compliments and tries to praise you about it. But I was a Motherwell player, and out of respect for Motherwell, everyone wants to talk about Celtic and Rangers, and I have to give Motherwell, the full respect here, and their supporters and everyone else, right? Yeah. I was a Motherwell player, and I did my utmost best for Motherwell, and that was the team who I supported because they were my team. Right? I played for them, right, at that time.
We all understand that.
Yeah.
We would have done the same.
You would have. It's easy to
In
say.
terms
You
of
wouldn't have.
all the goals in that, what's your biggest memory at Celtic? Best for you personally?
Scoring the
most
winner.
defining for
Scoring
you?
the winner at Ibrox, and the game finishing 1-0. Yeah, that was massive. I mean, because again, we were going to and fro.
Yeah.
At the time as well. Boydy missed a huge 1-on-1 that day.
Did you have the opportunity to square it?
No. I was too fast to get away from everybody. Too quick.
But
use my pace, mate.
Yeah, and that was the second season where I think we went 7 points clear.
Oh, we won the league that year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Inverness game. Is that the one that?
It was the last game of the season. No, you dropped
No, but you dropped points at Inverness away.
Hibs away.
Hibs away.
We dropped Hibs away second last game. We drew 0-0.
Aye.
And that, yeah. And then it was the reverse from the year before. You just went to Tannadice and won.
The year before was, remember that? We were at Aberdeen.
Aye. I was injured, but it's amazing how though that fight you talk about all season, every week it's back and forth.
Kind of 38 weeks.
Unbelievable, and then it's such high and such low in their last moments.
And then you got the whole summer to think about it as well. Like, it's why you do it.
How so the relationship from Southampton, you're obviously calling Gordon everything.
Not really to his face.
No,
but just behind his back.
That's
fine.
But then you go to Celtic, he's your manager, you're flying, you're scoring goals. How did that relationship fix itself?
I fixed it. Why does he have to
You were
fix
the
it?
bigger man.
No. He doesn't have to fix it. He's a manager.
Yeah.
I do. I have to change that opinion. What I give Gordon full respect for, and it's unbelievable because, particularly I think for Gordon as well, because Gordon doesn't change his mind. A lot of managers don't change their mind. If they've made a choice on a player previous to that, they're not going to go back and sign them. If they've been them, they ain't coming back. So that for me bridged the gap with everything before that.
Do you think maybe it was too harsh on you at Southampton at the time, and he maybe looked back and thought, I owe you one?
No, he didn't owe me nothing. Do you think
was
Gordon's going to
the
say
idea-
No,
Yeah.
but I just, when you think when you've made your debut and then all of a sudden you need to go.
But wait, what's your thought on that? At that point, did you think, looking back now, was he right in that moment or wrong?
A sliding doors moment, Naisy. I don't know. Like, I think I could have played Premier League at that point, no problem.
Yeah.
I was playing. I was training with the first team all the time. So I'm not going to say that I needed to, but it didn't do me any harm.
Yeah, going and playing at their levels and that.
So one thing which I have picked up that you, I don't know whether this is fair or not, but you never think you're wrong.
No, I do think I'm wrong. Now I do, but at that time,
right,
yeah, at that time,
that's your mindset. That's the way you drive forward.
I was 20, 21, 22. I was immature in a lot of ways, yeah. And I hadn't had the guidance for a long period because I came here as a 16-year-old to live out something and to be it. So I didn't really, nothing was going to get in the way of it at that point. And I was at times very, very difficult to handle. There's no question.
I actually like what you say in terms of about you changing, and it wasn't for Gordon to change, because we all agree it's about earning the right, isn't it? And earning the place and working yourself into that position, and that's what you did.
Well, he gave me trust by signing me.
Yeah.
So I needed to repay that and try and give it back. Right? If you believe in me now, then what am I doing? I need to prove myself. And then from there, the trust, everything about football, as we know, is about trust.
So it comes to an end at Celtic. And Strachan takes you to Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
By this point, you're talking about full trust in him, believing him as a manager, relationship's good. What makes that the right move for you?
Because he's there. I don't go there if Gordon's not there.
No.
Why would I?
Well,
why would I leave Celtic? Like to go
I thought you were talking about going to Celtic.
No, to go to the English Championship.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play Premier League. Like, I believed that we would make it to the Premiership. That's why I went there, because it was Gordon. I believed in everything that Gordon had done and how successful we were at that period. He was a powerful person, and even when he left, and even to this day, a lot of his values as a coach as well, I still hold dearly in what I do. We all operate with, those sort of mentalities of the best managers we work with. We still hold them, and his values of his work ethic and what he wanted, and I wouldn't have signed for Middlesbrough if he wasn't.
It must have been a really tough decision though when you're at Celtic. You know the joys and the highs you can have there. To give that all up with a hope of Premier League. Yeah, I think it was tough because I was having a difficult relationship with Tony Mowbray at the time as well. We'd signed Antoine Fortuné for big money, and it was evident that they were doing everything possible to try and get him in the team. So it was kind of like every time it was like we get 60 minutes, you're coming off, right? So I didn't like that because it was like still half an hour in a game to score goals. He's scoring goals down the road, and I'm off at 60. I'm going, this ain't right. I need to still be playing and scoring goals.
You couldn't catch me when it was 90 minutes. No chance it was 60.
Depends what you talk about by catching you. catch you in 1 second. But so there was the difficulties of that, and then obviously you start talking about the finances, about what you can be offered, and then that's a head turner as well. You're going, well, what are we going to do about this? And Celtic just really weren't interested in coming to the table. Now their argument with that was fair in their opinion, was I think I was only a year into my new deal. Yeah. But as we see in football all the time, how much do you really value that player then? How much do you really want to keep that player? And I'm not the first to talk about that. I think we still see that today in modern times, with whether it's Celtic or Rangers. Like, there comes a time where you have your certain value for that club, and then they'll look to sort of move you on. Selling me for $3.5 million after they bought me for, what was it, 500? Yeah, it was a great return for them. That's the way that their mentality, I think, was of seeing it there. Right, we might have spent a bit on salary, but we're still winning here. This has been a good turnaround.
Was that a career mistake from you, do you think, going to Middlesbrough?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think at that time, the way I'd established myself at the club, at Celtic, I would have, you see Neil Lennon come in after I left very quickly. And I had a good relationship with Lenny as well at that period, because he was our assistant coach. And then he became the reserve team coach when Tony took over. I definitely would have loved to have played for him and probably would have had good success. And then from there, though, if you keep doing what you're doing there, I think the Premiership would have come calling. But I chose to. It was a ballsy move. It was for you as well, because we believed in Gordon as well and what he was trying to build there.
I think as well because you looked at Middlesbrough when they had been a Premiership club and you felt as if you're going to get back there. That was, but I mean, I ended up 6 months later. I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't the right place to be.
Nice training ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's no doubt.
I lived there.
By the way, good club.
Great club. Great
good
people.
Club, yeah, really nice people, friendly.
Great chairman.
Looked after you.
But so wait a minute. So how does it go so wrong though?
I think Gordon will admit himself, he probably went about it in a manner that he had already managed to get rid of a few. Was still trying to get rid of more, but at the same time went back to Scotland and brought in too many players. I felt from, and there was never a divide. You could never tell there was a divide in the dressing room.
No.
But I think a lot of the English ones probably looked at us and thought, what the hell's going on here? Whereas we had came from being under pressure to win every single game to, I mean, it wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. It was flat. But I mean, I still speak to a few of the boys from Middles as well, a few of the English ones. So, I mean, there was never any problems. It just never happened.
No, but also,
never
it's just like any change room that when you brought in and you signed, your
expectations.
But you're deemed and seen as favourites as well, right? You've been
favourites,
brought in by the
yeah.
manager. So the boys that were already there probably felt a little bit out of sorts with that as well and going, oh, well, they're all the guys that he wants and we're not. So there was that. That's the reason for, he talks about that divide. But there was never a thing with the boys. But I think there was a bit of a shock to the system for some of the boys in terms of the mentality of, Celtic and Rangers players coming down because winning.
Yeah.
And if we didn't win, the expectations and what we would demand if we weren't winning off individuals, it wasn't seen like that before. I think England, depends on what clubs you go to, they don't have, in the terms of having to win and the pressures of that, living in the goldfish bowl, it's just different. The environments are different, and that was kind of, we were hungry to get the Premier League as they were, but just the way that we did things, and things just moved too quickly there. It was unfortunately, now it'd be interesting to get Gordon's take on that, but he tried to do everything too quickly.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And then upsetting too many individuals, not just players, but staff members.
Yeah, and I also think as well, when he tried to move players on, got someone, but he never really replaced them. I think when you look at like Andrew Taylor,
we couldn't.
We didn't have a left back, and then I think Joe Bennett, the young boy, ended up playing a few games. As well.
That's in his defence. We don't know in terms of the recruitment and understanding of what he went through there and what he was trying to get. He had something in his mind, but I think the hard thing is when the Championship it's a different beast, and even more back then, what it was. And how physical and demanding it was with 46 games in the league, Saturday, Tuesday, Scunthorpe on a Tuesday night. Like difficult games, you could be top of the league and bottom would beat you. It was just, there was never a guarantee, never a free hit down there. Yeah. And just in terms of the types of football that was played and what we had come from. Now, Celtic and Rangers players at that point, it's not a transitional game.
Yeah.
Championship's transitional, right? So we're going into games now where it's back and forth. Whereas Celtic Rangers, you've got the ball, you're not chasing it.
Yeah.
And that was the difficulty.
Turned into a goal scorer at Celtic. How do you use to combine as a front two? Both want to score goals.
That's a great question.
There was always respect there, wasn't there? We've always had a great relationship. We never ever. I don't think we even really argued, did we? Not really. But
he must have used you as a decoy at times.
We never really we started playing together at the start, and it was going to be interesting to see how it played out.
A few in the training pitch are like, I cannot wait to see who he picks.
Yeah,
that was funny
at the weekend.
Remember when they pulled us both down the stair?
Yeah,
2 years of sitting around this wee table and everything.
You just run, he'll score goals.
You'll never score as many as him, and you'll never run as much as him. So you start doing that, and you start doing that. On you go. It's just like, right, okay. In fact, that was his last game.
Yeah, but I was okay with that.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
I knew my strengths were different to his.
Yeah,
but how were they going to combine? That was, and it was just a little bit different. What we didn't have was a third wheel. We didn't have we had Leroy, But again, Leroy was probably similar to me in the sense of how he wanted to play Leroy Lita. We didn't have that out and out, just big target man, right, to throw it in and cause chaos at times if he needed it.
Yeah.
And I think they were really vital at that point, having that. And we didn't have wingers.
No.
We didn't have any wingers.
Who would have volunteered out of the two of you to attach themselves to the opposition deep-lying midfielder?
Have to be me.
There's so many questions in this moment. Who's grabbing the penalty?
I had adapted my game, but I was.
You just done no running about.
Boydy could have the penalty. Yeah, no problem. I didn't have at that time.
None of us. No. Robbo grabbed it. Ole grabbed it.
Yeah, Robbo was different. Yeah, different breed, wasn't he?
Remember the day you ended up. I'll tell you this one. We were down the back. There's a big slope at the hill at the training ground, so we're down, and I think Robbo smashed a ball down it. Remember, it hit your tooth. He's fuming, raging. You're always doing this. You're always doing blah blah blah. Having a go at each other. Wee man stoats away straight up the thing. So one of us had said to Gordon, "Listen, we're a man down." Gordon's like, "It'll be fine. Just leave it. He'll be back down in 5 minutes. Just leave him alone. He's away up there to calm down. He'll be back in 5 minutes." Sure enough, 5 minutes later, the wee man just gets stoned back.
And again, that's where Gordon, talk about man management, he understood me.
Yeah.
He knew what I was and how to deal with me and manage me. And that was how I just understood me. And at that point, I wasn't, you can tell them more than me, I wasn't an issue at that point.
No, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. I wasn't
an issue
at that point. Seems to suggest you have been an issue at some point.
No.
Well, but I've gone and said that back, particularly before I get to Celtic, to get to that point.
You're doing anything.
It was just about everyone out of the way. I'd still do my job for my team, right? Because I couldn't have got to where I was getting to if I wasn't doing things in a respectful manner. But my mindset, or if we had an argument, you weren't going to win it at that point.
Yeah, but see, the thing is as well, like, you get a lot of people who, and I've found this with you, and even when people will speak to you, like, the way you are on a pitch was the way you are. You weren't like that often.
No.
You would argue on a pitch.
You
bipolar.
That's what I'm saying. Even if we argued on the pitch or on the training field or whatever, and no, we really did, but I've seen it with other people. You didn't walk off the training ground and hold it as a grudge and not speaking to him or anything. You were just normal.
Yeah, but unfortunately, though, what you do on a pitch sometimes scars others. And that's something that I had to learn to be better at and manage people.
So how many people have you scarred?
Including, you're one.
Yes.
A few.
But by the way, so Gordon obviously leaves, right? And then Scott's left Celtic because of Tony Mowbray. Guess who arrived in Middlesbrough?
Aye.
Yeah, were you there when it turned up?
I lasted a bit.
That was a fun.
I lasted about 5 weeks after that, and I was away.
Look, again.
Surely you're scratching your head going, I can't believe this.
There was a conversation in the changing room. Oh, no, it gets better than that one. So I was living at Herworth at the time, and it just comes up that Gordon's left. Gordon's in the house next to me. I wasn't even called. Some of the other boys were called, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's like that. Then see you later. Yeah. So he's sitting in there, and he said, oh, by the way, I know who your next manager is. So I already knew, right? Because he had basically just told me who it was going to be. He knew already who it was going to be. So Tony was coming, and then obviously there was quite a lot of us that had left Celtic to go down in Middlesbrough, and there's boys in the changing room, and he'll know who I'm talking about. It's like he's coming in, he's going to have a meet. I'm going to sit right in the front so he can see me, and I was like, you can imagine me. I'm like, I'm the problem. I'm at the back. He'll have to deal with me, and that was kind of like and again, that was wrong of me, but that was my mentality at that time with Tony because I'd left Celtic because we just weren't. There was two sides to that. It was the financial side and the club, but it all came about because if I was happy, I would never have even looked. And me and Tony. But then after that, like me and Tony managed to bridge that gap and have a good relationship.
You went and done well.
Yeah. I mean, like we were top of the championship at one point till Christmas, and we fell away.
Yeah.
But again, I learned a lot. He was a very modern manager. Just in that time, I was stuck in a 4-4-2 in my head. That was where I had my successes. But he wanted to play 4-3-3, have a 10, invert, wide men for fullbacks to go on, which I ended up starting to play wide left, playing the 10. So my game was evolving and changing. So I learned a massive, massive amount under him. Yeah. And even the football and trying to play in between lines and get on half turns, all sessions that he was doing, he was actually a really good coach, really was. But just in that time, and in terms of his values of what he sees in players to what I see, or you probably seen at the time, and what he liked, the flair player, but not necessarily the work ethic. On the back of that,
because he asked me one day to play off the left one day. I knew that was me. Right, it's time to go.
You're tracking a fullback.
I could drop in the sitting midfielder, but I wasn't going to that left hand side. That was me.
No, he was too busy having cups of tea with Laney, the kit lady. He wasn't interested in coming out and training.
So then, so then after Middlesbrough, the brief spell at Millwall, and you came back up to Scotland.
Yeah, Millwall was an interesting one. A different club, but again, I learned a lot. And Ian Holloway was my manager there, and he's crazy. But there's method to the madness. And actually, he was the one who actually started me thinking about coaching more than anyone else. He'd had his sabbatical after Blackpool success, went to Spain, and then started talking about, with ball, not having ball, like thinking, what we doing when we have the ball to stop? What's going to happen next? And we're just rolling on. And then there's certain things he did at Blackpool with Charlie and that team, and how it creates overloads, and it was brilliant. So that for me had a huge influence on me. Then starting to think about coaching, came back to Motherwell, as you said, and that was, it was an interesting time, because I only said to myself I was only going to do it for that sort of short period. When they were in relegation trouble at the time. And it ended up becoming a bit longer than that, as we know.
So what was
you played in that, didn't you, the playoff? You played in that?
The one...
Rangers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played.
Yeah.
Canby Bell still stuck in it.
Yeah, that was a crazy 2 games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was. But yeah, it was a really good time, because going back there at Motherwell was like, not a lot of the people had changed. All still great people that walked through the door.
It was a short period of time. What was your...
England, not finished yet.
Okay.
Like, I just wasn't
So you think you were going to Motherwell, do well, get back down south?
I was sitting doing nothing. It was kind of like, I went to a point at Millwall where, as in my contract, I had a certain amount of appearances extra year. I got to 18 and I didn't get to 20.
Never seen in our squad.
And I didn't get to 20. And then that was it with me and Ian at the time.
So you're saying that you look back at him and he was... So how did he deal with that situation? Did he tell you that that's the reason?
No, it wasn't that. It was just, he was... But again, he was up and down all the time with players, and at that time as well, the pressure of, being in relegation zones and everything else. So, yeah, we weren't... I wasn't playing at certain times, so I wasn't happy. And as we all are, we're not happy when we're not playing. And then it was kind of like, well... Yeah, and it was kind of like, well, then, off you go. I was like, fine, I want to go and play somewhere. But then it was getting to the point in that period where there wasn't a lot happening, so I needed to play. I wasn't going to just sit out the season and not play. So I ended up coming back to Motherwell, who at the time, Stephen Pearson ended up coming back as well. Steve McManus was there. Hammy was there. Keith Lasley was there. So it was like all boys that it was a good time. Really good time. And then to get out of trouble like we did, because bottom of the league, I think in March time. And then we come back and managed to keep, because a lot of people would have lost their jobs as well. That was the amazing thing, just driving down back to England after that game when we beat you, just the feeling of, right, we've helped everyone out there. It was really good. But the nostalgia of doing that made me come back. And then I ended up staying in Scotland again.
And you always had, you mentioned Ian Holloway, and that sort of influence got you thinking about coaching. So then you ended up at Partick Thistle. Was that your last?
His dream came true. It was at United before that.
I was at Dundee United.
Right. Dream came true.
I can't remember your spell at Dundee United.
No. Can you not? No, it was a short one.
Right.
So what happened, I had finished up at Motherwell. Stephen Robinson, who went on to have a great year after that, just wanted to go in a different direction, sort of with senior players and moving them out. I still had another year left, but it was evident that we just weren't going to see eye to eye on a lot of things. So it was like, right, I'll move on. I want to go. I could have had a couple other options, but I wanted to go and win something. If I was thinking I'm going to finish, I want to win on a high. I wanted to win something, and the opportunity to go to Dundee United was giving me that option because they were in the Championship at the time. But again, Ray McKinnon didn't last very long, and we ended up getting Shaba Laszlo. And I was still living in Glasgow, and there was an agreement that we would sort of do 2 days a week, and then I would just manage my body and do everything else. And then Shaba Laszlo had me in 7 days a week, and he retired me basically because I was just driving that run every day to St Andrews, and I'm like, what am I doing here? What is this really worth it? And that sort of made me just not want to play anymore. So I ended up retiring, and got behind one of these things for a wee while. And then out of nowhere, I get the opportunity that comes up in Australia. But in order to take that opportunity, I needed to prove that I could still play. So I'd had 6 or 7 months out, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I was still, for whatever reason, I was still like training like a maniac on my own. And
so you retired, but there's no. If you're still training the way you must have thought there was still an opportunity to do something.
I don't know, because like I think as
you're
you
just
know,
still in that mode, aren't you?
But you know me, like when we got to Middlesbrough, right? Both our body shapes changed. Mine for the better. You know,
Oh, they're running you all day.
Correct. Well, again, talk about developing and understanding that the game was different down there. I looked at it as soon as I got down there, and my wife just had her first baby. So we were talking about that off air, weren't we? About boys saying they have the baby, but she just had our first child, and things change in your own habits and what you do. But I was looking at it going, if I want longevity here, I need to be able to physically get around. Yeah. And I felt at that point I wasn't at that level. So then from there, I've always still to this day, try and keep myself going. You know?
So you went into Partick Thistle then?
Yeah, because Gaz Caldwell was a gaffer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Gaz had asked me to come in months before that, and I just turned him flat down. But it was kind of that opportunity came up in Australia. I was like, Gaz. And again, they weren't having a great time in the Championship. He was under a bit of pressure down the bottom. And I was like, look, I've got this opportunity. I want to come back. I was like, yeah, come in. Let's see how you do. And that point, I finally had my love back for the game again. It was a surreal like time because I was a total different human being. So I talk about being this. I look back and I was like, I didn't actually embrace enough of what was around me in my later years, particularly at Motherwell. Like I'd sit on my own and not help younger players because I was still like thinking about what I wanted to do, and it was the wrong mentality. Because when I went into Thistle, and for good or bad, there wasn't a pressure on me when I went there. But I went in there and I needed to help Gaz, and I needed to help the team and have an influence on those players, and I did. It was an amazing time, and because I was giving them something, I got so much back.
Yeah.
I was playing so well, scoring goals, so I didn't need to be that guy. And it was kind of like, right, if I'm evolving as a human being, and then if I want to be a leader, right, then these are the types of traits that I need to carry on. So when I went to Australia, that was certainly something that I grew as a human and wanted to develop that and take that further when I went back to Australia to help younger players as well.
How much had Australian football changed from the Scott McDonald that left you as a 16-year-old to you went back?
Hugely changed. Yeah, hugely changed. I mean, I was a better player as I got older. I think we all were, because we were more intelligent as well. Yeah. We learned a lot more. So, and again, going into that environment, there was a brand new franchise in Australia. So obviously I had the great period at Thistle, stayed up. And again, I didn't make the same choice as what I did at Motherwell. I just went, I'm not doing that again out of nostalgia because I've had a great time. I need to try this. We need to get there. So I ended up going back to Western United. And brand new franchise, need to create, a brand new club, young players coming through, local area, and try and help them develop that. Which lasted 6 months, and I ended up going somewhere else.
So with your coaching, you got your pro license now.
I do, yeah.
And is there any sort of thought about maybe coaching in Scotland?
Yeah,
Rangers or Celtic, who would you choose at the minute?
Rangers or Celtic. I think there's only one choice, right? But again, just like your playing career, you've got to start, where reality is and work your way up. I've never been scared of that. Even in Australia, where I've been now, playing sort of coaching at sort of semi-professional level, which is sort of the second division under the A-League as well. A lot of sort of ex-players wouldn't sort of dip their toe in it because of the risk of not succeeding. Now, I've never been sort of one for that. I'm happy to throw myself in there, and if it's the right job as well, with the right people, that's always the most important thing. As we all know, if you've been it as a manager, you need the right people around you, and it needs to be the right setup. But it's been a great learning for me in the last 4 years since retiring. Went into a club called Gold Coast Knights and started as a manager in their team that wasn't doing so well. We managed to have good success in that period. In the last couple, I had to change it to a winner mentality. That was the biggest key, changing the mentality.
How did you do that?
Siege mentality, and just what I embody, I think was important as well, but also the values of what, I was brought up on as a player. And it's a lot of human traits as well of what we are and where we start. But it always comes back to that trust. Trust is key. And I think you talked about there with me being a different person off the pitch to what I was on it. And I think the key thing for all us guys as players is to feel protected when we're in that environment and trusted. If you can give players that protection and trust, they give you a lot back.
Yeah.
It's like life. Like the football, there isn't too much you go away from actually, life traits and human traits and what you are. They have to be brought into your environment to bring success. The tactics and everything is great, but they're not going to work if you can't get those other things right.
We'd cut him a bit of slack if he came back to Scotland.
You don't want to coach in Scotland, he's still slaughter you.
We'd give you 3
First
games.
opportunity, 2 of them will slaughter you, mate.
But Scott, thank you for your time.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Remember to like and subscribe and never miss an episode of The Warm Up.